more supportive of our creatives in our community, how we can support our artists, our dancers, our singers, our writers, all the people that sometimes we don't treat them with the same professional respect that we do other professions. So when we look at our dentists or our accountants, we definitely know that when they perform a service for us, then we automatically, there's a fee. But when our artists or our creators do things for us, sometimes we just say, thank you so much. Oh my God, that was amazing. And we walk away. So we really want to talk tonight in terms of how can we be more supportive of our creatives and our communities. So therefore, when they are doing things for us, that we are presenting ourselves in a manner that we are being respectful of their art and respectful of them as professionals, and not just taking their art for granted that we can just take it and not actually compensate them for their service. So that's one of the things we really want to talk about tonight. So we have Nikki Lopez, which is an artist. Her artwork is over here. So I know you probably have seen it already, but it's there on display, and it's for sale as well. And she also has a website. She's going to talk more about that later. She has classes, so she has a lot of things that she has that she's going to be able to share with you tonight as well. So one of the things we want to do is really to thank some of our community partners. One is Trans Inclusive Group. They're one of our community partners. Yeah. And also we have Legacy Builders, yay! And the World AIDS Museum and Educational Center. So those are just some of our community partners that we work with in terms of doing different events throughout the year. And so we want to continue to do those as well. And again, one of the purposes of tonight is to really have a conversation around how do we actually support our artists. So we're going to start out with a performance by Kiowa. He's a singer, songwriter, producer. So he's going to perform tonight and give you a taste of who he is as an artist.
I'm just going to play behind these chairs here. I'm totally kidding. That's better. All right. All right, like you said, my name's Kiowa. Good to see you again. It's been a minute. And I don't know, I wrote this song just, I guess, as a homage to who I am. It's a good, like, icebreaker. Do we have them in the monitors again or no? Well, I go walking down the street in my own way, in my own pace, with my diesel-like boots to make my booty sway. I said this way, that way, and there's a twinkle in my eye for everyone I meet. It's who I am. So if I look into your eyes and see you feeling down, well, I'll play the clown. I'll make you giggle till you jiggle, wiggle, stumble down, right to the ground. But I will touch you, tease you, leave if you do me wrong. It's who I am, yeah, yeah. And that's who I am. I'm spitting truth and positivity across the land, yeah. That's who I am. I mix a little rock and roll with a funky fresh jam, yeah. That's who I am. I'm spitting truth and positivity across the land, yeah. That's who I am. I mix a little rock and roll with the funky fresh jam. Can y'all hear the guitar? All right. I'll have you know I'm gonna throw. If you are prejudiced, you will be dismissed. 'Cause I won't tolerate your anger or your ignorance. Well, I'm red and white and blue just like the rest of you. It's who I am, yeah. Well, I'm trying to tell you something you already know. Well, I'm just kicking the flow, yo, yeah. I got the flower for the power and I got the flow. This is my time to teach and preach about the things I know. Yeah, it's who I am. Yeah, yeah, that's who I am. I'm spitting truth and positivity across the land. Yeah, that's who I am. I mix a little rock and roll with a funky fresh jam. Yeah, that's who I am. I'm spitting truth and positivity across the land. Yeah, that's who I am. I mix a little rock and roll with a. That's who I am. That's who I am. That's who I am. I am. That's who I am. That's who I am. All right. Thank you.
Let's give it up for Kiowa one more time. That was amazing. Thank you. So our next performer is going to be Velvet Lenore. I'm sure many of you may already know her. If you don't, you will be amazed in a few moments to see her. So she will be coming out momentarily. And this light is killing me. But again, one of the things we really want to talk about tonight is how can we be more supportive of our creatives? How can we be more supportive of the artists that are in our community? Hopefully, we can at least start the conversation with the people that are here, and we can take that information to other people as well. So, Cash? Oh, he's back there? Okay. So Velvet Lenore's getting ready to come out. She'll perform, and then we will move on with our program. our next performer, she is not here. She is on her way. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our community conversation with Nikki, Kiowa, and Velvet, and we'll start the conversation with them. And when our next performer gets here, she'll perform, and then we'll continue the conversation. So Kiowa, Nikki, and Velvet. Yeah, that's your spot. You know?
Oh, it says Kiowa right there.
So I just want to, first of all, let's give them a round of applause for their artistry, their creativity, because it's amazing. And we're going to have each one of our panelists to give some information about who they are and how they actually got started in terms of their art, and how do they determine that this is going to be how I want to make my living as an artist, as opposed to working as an accountant during the day and doing your art at night. But this is, so we're going to start with Nikki, and then we'll go from there.
I just knew I was going to be last. Good evening. My name is Nikki Lopez. I'm an artist and social practitioner, and I'm a curator and creative. And I'm also a founder of a nonprofit called What's Your Elephant that uses the arts to address the unspoken. How long have I been doing art? All my life. I think, when I first came out, I held crayons before pencils. My mom kept stacks of the Crayola 64, and if there was someone's birthday party and I wanted to get a card for a birthday party, and she's like, you do art, make your own card. I'm not buying a card. So, and actually, I've always been a creative and an entrepreneur spirit. My grandmother held some drawings that I did when I was probably 5, 6, 7. And so the back of it says 25 cents today only on sale for 10 cents. Because, my family would buy the art and then they give me the money and they stick the, work. And she kept some of these things. So I've always had a creative spirit. When I was really young, my grandmother had this wall-to-wall mirror in the living room. And I just remember doing all of these performances that I would make up throughout the day and perform for my family in the evening. My stage name was Janet. I have a list of all of these creative things. But I'm really grateful that outside of tap dance, that I did get tap shoes during the pandemic, I've gotten to a lot of things on the list. So when people ask me, I usually say creative advocacy. So I like things that are purpose-driven. So in my art and social practice, I create art. There's some work over there. I have mixed media. So I do paintings, sculptures, collage. I teach art. So for the past 13 years, even though it's gone back before then, but the past 13 years, I teach art to children with disabilities in the schools. And I also go into the juvenile detention centers, and I do art with the teens. So when I'm doing art with the teens and people, it's like art with a purpose, like creating your own definition of who you are, regardless of what the world tells you, regardless of what a parent who didn't come visit you. Sometimes the kids are like, my parent won't even come see me because I'm here, right? And the guards treat you all types of way, and saying that, okay, with all of that, you still get to define who you are and have a comma to this, right? Don't come back here, but have a comma to this. So I'm very drawn to art that provokes. I'm very drawn to social justice, art that, defying the norms, whether it's outside of the LGBT community or within the LGBT community, just challenging, what people accept as norms. And so, yeah, I think, what was the other question? There was a lot of questions. But, yes, so I've been doing art. I've done photography. I also am a graphic designer. So I was doing graphic design before I went to school, but I do have a degree in that. And so I have a design company, Nikki Lopez Creative, and it's a purpose-driven design company. So again, I work with nonprofits, grassroots organizations, things that are uplifting marginalized community and underserved communities, things that are making a difference in this world. To me, I feel like that's what I'm drawn to do, and I feel most powerful in those spaces where I get to be fully myself and hopefully motivate others to do the same, because I feel like everyone who's breathing, if you're blinking, you woke up in the morning, everyone has a purpose. And I feel that I want to be a part of the example of, it doesn't matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter, you know, your status, where you're at, everyone has something that they could do to push the dial forward. So my art is always connected to my advocacy and, you know, some of my personal work. I have a lot of mask elements. I talk about being a survivor of multiple traumas and abuse. And, you know, I also talk about my journey into Afrocentric spirituality. A lot of my pieces have some of the Yoruba cultures and practices weaved into that. And, you know, and I also into mind-body medicine. So when I do my workshops and I'm creating experiences, I'm weaving all of those together. And so for me, it's been a journey of healing the things that I need to heal from and sharing that. So What's Your Elephant came out of some of how art was helpful for me in my healing journey. And before even going to counseling, all those things, you know, art was where my stories started to come out in a more public way, and seeing that when I share my stories, people are like, oh, this is what happened to me. So realizing people need more spaces. So I love having conversations and creating safe spaces where people get to talk and who they are, and talk about whatever, normalizing having conversations about mental health, about challenges, about, all the isms, about fears. Sometimes we feel so isolated because we feel we're the only ones. And then when we share that, we realize, oh, wait, you went through this too, and now you gave me a resource of what helped you that could help me, and go on. And also, when we share these things, it empowers others to say, wait a minute, that sounds a little familiar. So that's kind of a little bit in a nutshell. I think I've answered those questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikki. Let's give her a round of applause for being vulnerable and sharing of herself. I do appreciate it. We'll move on to Kiowa. Again, it's really about a brief bio of who you are, and also when it was it that you determined that art was going to be your livelihood, how you lived your life.
Okay. Jeez, man. Going back to my little tiny Afro puff days. I was a really quiet child growing up, and I think I just found that for me personally, the best way that I can articulate my feelings in my heart, what's deep in my heart, is through music. I started playing. My adopted parents had an upright piano, and so when they would leave, I'd start to play that and try to get my feelings out with the chords of the piano, because it's such a warm, resonant instrument. And then from there, I moved over to the drums and some other things. But it's always been in me. It's a gift from God, and I feel like in order to honor God, this is what I do to honor God. And by writing songs that reflect on my life of abuse and homelessness and triumph over all those types of things, and that when I just rip that heart open, and that's where I come from when I'm sitting somewhere in a park and I'm singing by myself, and it's just me, and it's vulnerable, and that's the beat of my heart, to be able to get on a stage and then share that with people and actually have it resonate. I think creates a healing for everyone, and I think that's important, especially for today, like you were saying. I think it brings people more together, and it creates more of a sense of community, to understand that we're all going through something, or that we've all been through something, because we all kind of walk around with these smiles on our faces, and how you doing? Oh, I'm good. How you doing? When inside there's so much going on, and that's for me where music becomes a platform to bring us together, to connect us. So.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's give him a round of applause for that. Thank you for sharing that. Velvet, just really a brief bio of who you are, and how did you get to a point of utilizing your creativity as your art form and your livelihood and those types of things. How did you get to that point to say, this is what I want to do?
Well, who I am is a lot. No, just kidding. I'm a lot. But I always knew from the very beginning who I wanted to be, but when I was coming up in the 70s and 80s, it wasn't talked about. I didn't know what a trans was. I didn't know what being gay was, but I knew that's who I was in my spirit. So my family kind of pushed back on me, and one day I was in church, and I just started playing the drums and playing the keyboard. It's like, who taught you that? I'm like, nobody. And next thing you know, I kept doing that, and I was playing in church, and then ended up going through high school band and college band at FAU and doing all that stuff, being in band. And I always been a dancer. I went to Avenately, Jaffe Ballet. And then when I got done all that, I got home and I realized that something was missing. And I started teaching kids because I felt like my childhood was lost because nobody believed in me and for who I was. So I started teaching kids, and I started a dance school, and I started teaching kids. And then I opened a school, and I had it for 4 years. And then I decided to move to Palm Beach County, and that's where I met my drag mother, Melissa St. John. And she looked at me, she's like, you're too pretty not to be doing drag. I'm like, drag? What is that? Because she was out of drag at the time. So she's like, well, come to this show at Heartbreakers, and I'm going to show you. And that's when I met not only Melissa St. John, I got a hit real hard. That's why I met Erica Norrell, a trans woman. And I was like, what is going on? And from there, she had me come in, and I was a big Janet Jackson fan. I came in, and I did Janet Jackson Present Principal, did the whole video, right then Heartbreakers, and made like $500. I said, well, I think I need to keep doing this. And now here I am 33 years later, still doing it. And I continue to mentor young people all the way up to the age, I think the oldest is 36. The youngest is 17. And I do have a blood daughter and a blood son. And I have 3 beautiful grandkids. And I'm very proud of who I've become because I feel like this is what I was put on the earth for. So I will always continue to help people because I know what it's like to be on the streets. I know what it's like to be looked over. I know what it's like not to be understood. So I try to create my life in helping others. And right now I have 116 kids that are called Lenores. And they're performers, they're entertainers, but I'm just not their drag mother. I'm their mother in heart and soul because at the end of the day, I want to make sure you're paying your bills on time, you're learning how to save money, you're making plans for yourself for the future because this stuff don't last forever, you know. So I do that, and I do it well. And this is one of the newest ones. Dante, my son Jay Wolf boyfriend, and I dragged him with me, and I'm like, Mama don't want to go by herself. I don't know where I'm going. I'm like, I'm stealing you. You come. He's like, okay. But the end of the day, I try to teach everybody, and I tell my kids every day, it doesn't matter what you're going through. It's how you come out of it that's going to make a difference in your life. And I'm always trying to keep a smile on my face because I was taught always be a rainbow in somebody else's cloud, no matter how you feel on that day.
Thank you. Thank you all for sharing and being vulnerable to really give that information because it's really about how do we individually, what do we bring to the world? We all have a purpose, like you were saying, like you said, we all have a purpose. Sometimes we may not know what that purpose is, but as long as we continue to strive and move forward, we will eventually get to the point of actually coming to fruition with what our purpose is. One of the things I did want to ask you all is also, because one of the things that we want to talk about tonight was really about how is it that a lot of times our artists and our creatives are not compensated, they're not treated with the same, their professionalism is not treated with the same respect as other professions. How do you individually, how do you actually command that? Or how have you grown to a point that you are able to articulate what you need in terms of to be a performer or an artist or a musician and making sure that you are compensated adequately for your service? And how did you get to that point to say that your budget is what for my service?
Well, nobody was going to say anything, so I don't know. I guess I'll start off. I don't know, when I first started off, like, playing music back in the day, like I said, I was homeless, and I was 14, so I just played for hot fudge sundaes and tips in bars and stuff. But, you know, of course, as I grew older and I came down here, I started playing. Like, the standard was the typical $100 for the night. And then I did that for so long, and started playing with another friend of mine was playing longer than I had, but we'd both been playing significantly a long time. And he was like, yeah, I charge $500. And I was like, what? Oh, I got to up my game. So So, ever since then, I asked for more because, it's something that people don't see. They see the shiny product or the end product. They don't see the hours and the blood and the sweat and the tears and the practice and the everything that goes into it. And that's a lot, especially when you've got numerous dance songs to dance to, choreography or painting that's hours and hours, or music that you're learning or writing. You pull it from the ethers. Like, you might not get anything that day, Not a 8-hour, 12-hour job. It's a lifetime job. And if you don't do it, nothing's going to come. So you might have days when nothing comes, but you still do it, Yeah, I don't know. You just kind of got to realize your worth. And then, of course, there's some people that can't afford quite that price. And I always start by saying, what does your budget look like? That way you don't shut yourself down. Because some things are worth playing for, worth putting yourself out there, especially kids, fundraising for kids, children of St. Jude, all kinds of cancer research things, and just kids in poverty, raising money for things. I'll put myself out there for free for that. But, private gigs, playing out there, you got to make a living. And I think that sometimes venues, when they undermine your talent and they try to skeet by, just, paying you a little nothing, it's nice to give them a nice little sweet kicky nudge and be like, this is what I do to pay my bills. Like, so you run the restaurant, or you run this, or you run that. How would you feel if I offered you X amount for that? It's like, nah, we're all here to pay our bills. We're all here to live and to enjoy life. So, let's support each other. That's kind of where I come from with that.
All right, thank you.
Oh, you want me to go? Okay. Well, I just learned that, in life, you get what you pay for. If you want to pay me $100, you get a Whitney Houston "I'm Greatest of All" song. I ain't cutting no rug. I ain't doing no splits. I ain't doing nothing. I'm gonna give you what you paid for. If you give me $500, I'm gonna show up with 5 dancers and turn it out for you. It's just the way it goes. Because I just feel like in life, you got to give to receive. And if I'm giving to you and receiving from you, I need you to give and receive back to me. Because at the end of the day, this is how I pay my bills. And I'm bringing people in your club that's buying liquor, showing up, bringing friends to see me perform. And you talking about $100 when you know it's 30 people that came just to see me. So, and then a lot of times when you have people that don't understand that, you show them. You show up and show out and say, see what I did? Now, next time you hit me back, I want that extra $300. It's simple. That's me.
Well, thank you. Nikki?
That's layered, and it's something that I'm definitely still on that journey for me, because not only am I an artist, I'm also a producer. So I produce events, I've done open mics, exhibitions, and all these things for almost 2 decades. And so for me, some part of that was also my journey in making sure that I checked in and knew what my value was. Because what would happen to me is that other people see your value, and then, they bring you in, and then other people are either lifting what you do, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. I'm a curator, now this person's a curator, right? And so, and I share, right? So I love giving, right? But also through my own, because like I said, I've, gone through different things, and some parts of me, as it relates to mental health, right, gets into subconsciously people-pleasing or having an abandonment wound, so you just want to do all these things. And I'm a sucker for a cause. Like I told one of my friends years ago, I said, if you hear me talking to someone and they're talking about something, just hit me and remind me I'm not a trust fund baby, right? Because I just get caught up in like, oh, I could do something, I want to give and give. And the thing is, when those of us who are givers, people are going to take and take and take. And also, I think part of it is tied to that spirituality of like energy, right? I grew up in this religious background where it's like money is the root of all evil and all this stuff. So, and there's a lot of creatives, we don't want to ask for money. We're like, oh, that's disgusting. A doctor comes and performs heart surgery, and if you don't have that money, you don't have that insurance, you don't get the heart surgery. And so part of that is learning to like move away from people who don't value me or who want to use me, but also learning my value is. And, a couple years ago, I was telling someone, recently, I was hired to curate an art exhibition. There was some performance place, I can't remember the name of it, it's in Liberty City, but they had a play and they had a gallery next to it. So they wanted to put art around, connected some way to the theme of the play. So someone said, instead of trying to just do all those things, why don't you reach out to Nikki Lopez? She's a curator, she'll do it, the whole thing. So I come in, I curate an exhibition. I have, programs and different things, because I don't like to just do an opening. My art openings, even those visual artists, people are like, oh man, poetry is always at your thing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a closet poet. I'm also a poet as well. So like, when I'm doing my visual art show, I always have performance art intertwined in those things. We would do open mic. So I did this really beautiful exhibition, and then I had someone who was had a space in Boca, and they reached out to me. They went, oh, I want to talk to you, whatever have you. I went to your event, I love it. So finally, and also listening to your inside, right? Because there's something about that I wasn't drawn to even return the call, and I realized why. So when I finally met with the person, I was like, you know what? I don't know this person. Let me go meet with them. And so they're like, oh, we love the thing, whatever have you. We want you to bring you and your people here. And I was like, okay, cool. What's your budget? She was like, budget? And I said, yeah. So I'm an artist. I'm a creative. I love what I do. I'm passionate about it. But this is also my livelihood. I'm a single mom. I have a kid. People want to like his pictures. He wear Jordans. He was like, oh, I just wear designer clothes. I was like, I don't know who you're talking to. But, so I had to, she was looking so confused, and she was a director of an organization. So I said, when I do an art show, I have performance, I have food, I have a DJ, I have this. So she said, okay, I could pay for the DJ. I could pay for the food. Yeah, I'll pay for the performance. But I was just like, but I'm curating it, right? So, and it was such a hard conversation. And, a lot of time people want to pay with exposure. And I think when you're getting your foot in the ground, but I have to remind myself, not from an egotistical point of view, but when people ask me, right, they say, okay, wait, she got these awards, she's in the newspaper, she's in this, she's in that, and any other profession, when they're given certain things, that ups your value. And so sometimes I had to realize when people, first of all, I had to decipher when people are inviting me to things, is it because they see me and they want to include me, or they're trying to use me to validate their thing? Because that's happened too, So I have to decipher all of those things every time someone comes, because, you think like, wow, they see what I'm doing. I've been doing this for a long time. They finally see me, and then it's just like, oh, they were using me for this thing. And that sucks. Who wants to be used, right? And so part of that is, people who didn't want to value me, and or people who are used to me not having boundaries. And then when I start growing boundaries, it's like, oh, you're difficult, you're challenging, you're and I'm like, yeah, because I know you got a grant for $50,000 and you want to give me $150. And I wrote the whole thing, right? And so, and so working with people, and here's the thing, the people that the exposure would be significant, they want to pay you, right? So, and I still do, because if it's an organization, I've had more, even though I've sold art, I've actually had more art that I've donated to different initiatives over the years for their fundraiser that I sold than actual my own, here, buy this thing. So, and I don't mind, right? But, even with that, when people said, oh, can you donate a piece of art? We have this thing. And I said, okay, cool. So what percentage is going to me? And they're like, oh, so I had to also look and say, okay, this is my profession. People say, what's your day job? I'm like, you're looking at it, this is it. And honoring and respecting that space of, what it takes for me to create something. Even if, sometimes I could talk and I get off the talk and I seem calm and I'm like, dang, I'm sweating like I ran, right? Because there's energy. And so realizing money is also energy that gets to replenish me and to do other things. Because guess what? If I get paid, if I could boost a post on Facebook, I could, have supplies, I could do the things. I was doing, workshops, and I was like, Dad, I just love doing art and getting people together, and this is that. And I'm like, wait a minute. I bought the paint, the canvases, the paper mache. It's my place, the drinks, the food. And they went back to their regular jobs, or sometimes I'm in a meeting with people and I literally have to stop the meeting and say, I just want to circle, I just want to center everyone's to this little point here. Cute point. This table, everyone here, I'm the only one here for free. I drove my car, used my gas, came here. Y'all are a table full of people. Everybody's getting a paycheck on Friday, whether we do this or not. Right, y'all picking my brain, you asked me for a proposal, now I saw a piece of my proposal in y'all event 2 weeks later. Y'all just told me, who's this person? Y'all didn't know about them, but somehow they're now in your program. So, I mean, that becomes a whole nother conversation, right? But it's just, it's the work that I had to do on myself to say that I value myself. And, I had a friend told me years ago, she said, anytime somebody asks you for something, just look at your, Marley is my son's name, look at your son and think about your son and what he needs and all those things. And so, because it was uncomfortable for me, it still is. People, come and I just want to give, and I'm just like, I shouldn't be experiencing, homelessness or years ago, I had an exhibition. I had 200 people in the exhibition 2 weeks before my phone was off, right? But you wouldn't tell when you come to the exhibition. So it's just like, wait a minute, that's not cool, right? And I had a friend and mentor I did a lot of work with, rest in peace, Scott Strawbridge, and he told me years ago, he said, there's nothing wrong with doing community work and helping and doing great work and getting $90,000 a year. I'm not there yet. I've had some brushes with that, thankfully, grateful, right? But it just, my attitude about it had to change also, as well as making sure, when people are coming to me, to come to that, and then if they can't respect that, or sometimes, I'm a little bit of a jokester, so if some people, can I have a meeting? I'm like, yeah, Sunday. Oh, wait, can you do Monday? Because you want it on your working hours, right? So I think it's all of that. It's a responsibility for us as an artist to be professional and to say, okay, I could do this, or I could do in kind, or I started training myself, I would do an invoice. So let's say if something was supposed to be $2,000 and they told me they only had $1,500, I would still give them an invoice, $2,000, $1,500 in kind, just so they see for themselves and me. So it's just I don't want to put it all on them, and also on me, and making sure I'm doing the work. Because when I come, I show up and I'm like, look, I could do the whole thing. The event, the social media, the design, the artist, get the people, and you see what I bring. People are like, damn, I just thought I was going to do this whole thing, and you just brought all these people together. So I had to learn to value me and understand my worth. And it's sometimes I'm still like, man. And I'm like, no, I have to do it. I have to get comfortable with being, uncomfortable. And also, paying people. Because even as a producer, there's many events I used to do, and I didn't have no money because I'm just doing it myself, right? And I would come to artists like Butterfly, right? And I'm like, look, I got this exhibition. It's for the community. I don't have a budget. This is what I'm doing, right? And there's performance artists that are like, you know what? I normally would charge. I love what you're doing. I'm here for you, right? And so many of my older exhibitions, performance artists would help, because they're like, okay, it's a different energy when other artists see, okay, you're doing this, you're not trying to make money, you're not trying to this, they could tell the difference, right? So what happens is when I do get a project with funding, I'm going back to those same people to say, hey, guess what? I got some money, let's work, right? So I think it's a layered thing, and telling people yeah, you pay for everything. I couldn't believe this lady, when I ran down the different things, that she was willing to pay everyone else but me. But she's coming to me to do the thing. And I said, you came to something that I produced, that someone paid me to produce. I love it. This is what I do. I'm passionate about it. I'm good at it. But there's a value in that. And so trying to decipher working with people who understand that value and want to push the creatives and value the creatives as well.
And our other performer is Butterfly. Thank you so much for joining us. If you could just give us like a brief bio of who you are and how you got to a
Check
point
one,
of,
check two.
of that art and that poetry and performance art was going to be your livelihood. How did you get to that point?
So, I was born 1972, March. Interesting that my two middle initials are MC, but it stands for Maria Christina. I started writing, well, I got into music when I was 5, and I started with poetry when I was 10, inspired by Langston Hughes' poem, Mother to Son. As I got older, I started to write more. Got into the poetry scene. I've always been into the arts, period. Got into the poetry scene in May of '97. Went to pay my car insurance. And lo and behold, my agent, she was on the phone, so she signaled for me to sit down. And so I sat down, and actually, you know, when you're sitting across from somebody's desk, your eyes gaze on what's on the desk. So there's a blue sheet of paper, because back then, excuse me, in '97, we didn't have professional flyers. You know, your event was done on an 8x10 piece of paper, color-coded. But I saw the word poetry, so I tapped it, and she shoved it at me, and when I looked at it, it was for an open mic night that had started that Wednesday, but the week before. So that Wednesday night was their second week. It was called Body, Mind, and Soul. Rest in peace, Brother Kushai. So when she got off the phone, she said, "This is why I told you to wait." So anyway, I went out, and I started just going out to the poetry scene. And at that time, there was literally a open mic night to go to 7 days a week. I was leaving out of my house literally on a Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, and I was not getting home until 5, 6 o'clock the next morning, because I would hit up 3 open mic spots between Miami and West Palm Beach. And normally that late, because after the party, there's the after party, meaning that after the night is over, us as poets, we're in the parking lot politicking, reciting and doing more poetry. But also, too, if we had a feature, that feature we would, you know, take them to whatever their favorite, you know, late night spot is, whether it's Waffle House, Denny's, or IHOP. So anyway, it's 2001, and I was a part of a poetry troupe called Lip, Tongue, and Ear. So we go up to West Palm Beach to participate in a slam competition, but we were actually on the way to Jacksonville to be their featured poet. I'm going deep because eventually how I got the name Butterfly is going to be a question asked, so I'm just going to give it to you. So anyway, get there, and the photographer, Douglas Pollard, at the end of the night, he was like, "What's up with the butterfly dress?" I say, "I love butterflies." And so we exchanged, you know, numbers or whatever. So come March of 2002, my birthday, he sends me a package with a Swarovski butterfly figurine, which I've since broke, cried my heart out. But anyway, I went inside and I got the package out, but for the rest of the day, my spirit just was shaking. Not in a bad way, but just shaking. And I sat on the side of the bed and I said, "Go get that package out the trash before tomorrow comes for trash day." Went to get the package out. When I reached inside to pull out the envelope inside the bigger envelope, that's how he had addressed the envelope, Rebecca Butterfly Vons. And that's what I did. I just kept it. And come August of 2002 is when I made the decision. But the middle part of that month, I had gone out to an open mic night, and there was a host, Rashida Bartley at the time. And before she started the open mic night, she said, "I know you all get up here, and some of you all, this is a hobby or whatever." She said, "But if you're serious about this, get serious about it." So, of course, I was like, okay, whatever, sure, shrug it. But then it stuck with me. So came August of 2002 when I cut off all my hair. My hair was down to here, and I cut it low. 30 years old. It was transformation, brand new, everything. And I sat in the room on the bed. I cried because when you're about to embark on change and take a leap, and when I say a leap, it's serious. And, you know, I started to ask myself the 1,000,001 questions. Can you handle this? Will you be able to handle losing these people? Will you be able to handle gaining these people? Will you be able to handle the attention that comes with being an artist? And sure enough, I walked in my mom's room, sat on the side of the bed, and I said, Mom, I'm going to be a poet full-time for the rest of my life until I die. And so this year makes 23. May will make 28 years I've been gracing microphones of all kinds. And then August will make 23 years that this is what I've been doing for a living. Yes, I've heard the go get a real job, but question one, what is a real job? COVID-19 and the pandemic proved who really are the essential workers. I can't see myself being putty in the palm of someone's hand that I can get hired on Monday and on Friday they could fire me. With what I do, it's random, but at the same time, it's a domino effect. And I say that in a sense that I can perform for Nikki at 2 o'clock this afternoon, and then you might be sitting in Nikki's audience and you're impressed by what I do, and you come and ask me, what am I doing at 8 o'clock tonight? I'm a revolving door poet. I create in the moment. 95 to 98% of the time, any of you who have ever seen me, you've seen me creating a poem right there and then, so we're hearing it for the first time. I only need to know what your subject matter is, what your theme is, what you're trying to convey to your audience, what you want your audience to leave with. I really, really love words, and so that's how I create. I am that poet that you can call just like that, meaning that I've had people call me 7 o'clock in the morning for a 10 o'clock event because someone has canceled out, or either at the last minute they thought about, oh, we want some poetry for the event. I have had where someone has called me at 4 o'clock and the event was at 5 o'clock. I stay ready to ammunition my words, and I make sure that it's going to always be befitting for you. No person can ever say that they heard the same poem. No person can say, oh, she did that poem at so-and-so's wedding. Oh, she did that poem at so-and-so's funeral, because the poem is tailored just for you. I've stood 10 toes down. I wear my life on my sleeves. I have been homeless since my birthday, March 25th. We're going into 10 months. It is what it is, because again, at the end of the day, I always think of the New Edition movie, and I don't know if you all saw the New Edition movie, but when, I can't remember which member it was, but when his wife was like, baby, you know, can you see if you could try to find a job? And he was like, who's gonna hire this? You know? I've been hitting stages and performing for 23 years. Everything requires certification or, you know, some type of skills. And I'll be honest, what I do is what I'm good at and perfect at and comfortable with. And not only that, I move, as much as people say, you know, be into the word, but most people don't live the word, because the word tells you that your gifts and your talents will provide for you. The word tells you that you should not be working 2 and 3 and 4 jobs to provide for yourself or even your family. So if between staying at a hotel and sleeping in my car is what I have to do until that moment comes, that my big break comes, then so be it. And I'll be honest, I've had butterflies for the last few days, knowing that what this world is about to take place on Monday, because Trump and his shenanigans changed and altered my life in 2020. If my 2020 would have navigated the way it was designed to, by chance, I probably wouldn't be sitting on this couch. And that's because my 2020 was set to be one of the most dynamic and amazing years of doing poetry full time. But it's okay. I survived. Then these last 4 years, I survived those 9 months of an experience that I never thought I would experience. And I do have to say, being homeless is not for the weak. It is not for the weak, because if you have never experienced it, the main challenge of being homeless is using the bathroom and taking a shower. That's the two main challenges when you're homeless. Outside of that, everything else, you're all right, you're okay. And when I'm out and about and I'm driving past and I see those brothers or I see those sisters sleeping on the bus bench, I say, sweet dreams. And I say, God bless you, baby girl. God bless you, baby boy. That's somebody's child. And at least I give thanks because at least I got a car that I can sleep in. But for the ones who don't have that a buggy cart is their home. A bus bench is their home. And at least it's just me. But for the ones who have at least a child or 2 to 3 children, that is devastating and challenging, especially for the children. But I'm inspired too, because when I used to go into the schools, I had a friend of mine who's a poet, and she had 7th graders, but it was 2 students that just hit my spirit, and they were brother and sister. And when it was lunchtime, you know, I stayed back and I chilled with her for her lunch break. But I asked her about those 2 students. She told me, she said, Butterfly, you wouldn't believe this. She said, but they're homeless. I said, you kidding me? She said, no. She said, they're homeless. She said, they live under a bridge and they pretty much clean up or rake up someone's yard or wash a car to make money to at least wash their clothes for school. When they say you never know what a person is going through, that is real 100. That is real 100. All day long. I have been griping, groaning, crying for 16 days straight. When I say this was my bridge, because an individual who struggles, and not even with mental illness, just with life, and who struggles with suicide, you have to create bridges. This was my bridge. The event I have after this was my bridge. Performing for Tracy Young Byron's Love and War dance production tomorrow night is my bridge. I don't know if you remember the TV show Snowfall, but the writer committed suicide, 32 years of age. When I see that and hear that, I don't ask why. I know why. I understand, and I cry for them. Even my own acronym for suicide couldn't save me August 3rd, 2022. God got involved, and the angels got involved. But my acronym for suicide is Sanity Under Influence Conversation, initiated by the Devil's Echoes. People again say, get a real job. What is a real job? If artists did not exist, your walls would be naked. You wouldn't have anything to watch on TV. You wouldn't have music to listen to. You wouldn't have anything to balance out your real job when you get off. This would be a very silent and empty world. I found myself in the kitchen one day crying while I was cutting potatoes. Why? Because it took me back to, again, when people question and ask, why do you charge what you charge? And I thought about caterers and the idea that this is something that they have to do all day. And sometimes preparing food for 100, 300, 1,000 people. So when a caterer tells you what their fee is, pay it or keep it moving. I think of a gentleman who I went to get my car washed one day. And I asked him, how much is it? And he said, don't insult me. I've never made money the main issue because at the end of the day, I'm priceless. You can't put a price tag on a gift God gave you. God takes care of me. He gets me through. For every gig that I have done for free for 28 years, I have gotten a paid gig out of that gig. I know the people who hold my hand and walk me. Not very few. Not very many. But those are the ones that the way that they washed my back, I washed theirs. I had a young lady made a comment on someone's page because someone had questioned how much, is your charge or your fee. And the person told the person, inbox me. And someone commented and said, why she got to inbox you? And I'm talking to the computer of because that's just it. Everybody doesn't get the same price. Because everybody doesn't hold the same position in your life. This young lady right here, we've been rocking for a good 17, 18 years. This young lady right here is a woman of her word. And I say that in the sense that people who have come to me and said, Butterfly, I ain't got the budget right now, or I don't have the money right now, but when I start getting money, I got you. She's that person. Whereas about 5 or 6 people at the top of their organization, their business, when they were pennies, and they said, Butterfly, when we start making money, I'm going to call you. If they called me, my mama called me. And my mama been gone 3 years. I do what I do because I love it. I do what I do because I'm passionate about it. I do what I do because I'm dangerous at it. I do what I do because I move people, and I'm not saying that, I'm saying what I've been told. The money will come, but at the same time, yes, I have bills to pay just like everybody else. My car payment was due today. Did it get paid? No. Do I care? Yeah, but at the same time, some things you just can't control. And people want the talent, and they want the expertise, and they want the A game, but they don't want to pay that A game money. They come with the, oh, are you available in such and such? And then you say you're available, and what's your fee? Tell them your fee, then they get ghosts. And I'll be honest, Rebecca Maria Christina Vaughns, a.k.a. Rebecca Butterfly Vaughns to the world, I don't chase no gig. It's 8 billion plus people in the world. And I'm very big on wherever I'm supposed to be on that appointed date and time. And if it's to do that, I am. So if you call me, I don't hold no dates, especially without a deposit. So if you call me, if you text me, if you DM me, and we dialogue with regards to, oh, yes, I'm available at that time, and I'm available at that date. My fee is such and such. I require a 50% deposit. You could pay it via Cash App, Zelle, or PayPal. If you get ghost, you stay ghost. I don't come back to you saying, hey, what about the dates? I don't do that. Because I will keep it real. I am an in-demand artist. There's been times where people have wanted to pay me out of a gig I was already booked for, but I've never done it. Because one thing I can say, I'm very big on integrity and character about what I do. And I'm very big on people calling me back. I have about 5 families that have me on lock for everything. The baby showers, the weddings, the funerals, the birthday parties, the anniversaries. Prior to 2020, my Saturdays, I'm normally spending 3 to 5, I'm normally performing 3 to 5 times in a day. On one given Saturday, I've done 3 funerals, a baby shower, and a wedding. So, of course, that's 5 different states of emotions. And none of the work is written. Like I say, I create in the moment. I just have to know what your theme is, who's being celebrated, and I go from there. I value me. If no one else does, that's all right. Because at the end of the day, I didn't ask to come here. I didn't ask for this gift. It was given to me. I believe in me, even if no one else does. And I'm going to keep pushing until I push to the end.
Thank you, Butterfly. Thank you. The only other thing we wanted to do was to, I know you just got here. Butterfly was going to perform a piece tonight, so therefore, and Kyle was going to do another song. So we can do your piece and then your song. And that'll be about. Then if we have some questions from the audience, we'll have those as well. So if you have questions for any of our panelists. All right.
Nikki Giovanni, this piece is for you. For the many pieces that you've given me. I am one that ride the night winds, like you say, because it seems like at nighttime is the right time when those thoughts come trickling in. I take the long way in the long road home so that I can see what life really looks like in the nighttime. Because, see, when people are asleep in their beds under the roofs, they really don't have no idea of what goes on outside those doors. While, yes, on one end, that's when crime mostly takes place. But on the end, that's when dreamers dream dreams that dream wished it dreamt itself. See, I'll be that one that tell you that dream is desired reality, eagerly awaiting manifestation. I stay locked and loaded with the 26 letters of the alphabet, all raised ready for ammunition, different calibers, waiting to make sure that whoever I target and shoot at, they don't die, they rise. See, I'll be that individual that each and every day I'm finding a way to render acts of kindness, and not because I'm a kind person, but I know what it's like to not have someone be kind to you. See, being an artist is dangerous because we, as poets, we tell you things that they really don't want you to know. We tell the truth. We keep it real. We dance with reality each and every day. I've been putting pen to paper with or without lines ever since the age of 10. So we're working on about 43 years of lyrics all over the place. I think if writing on bubblegum wrappers and McDonald's and Burger King napkins was a crime, I wouldn't be standing on this stage right now. Because the thoughts are always racing. They ask me what inspires me. Life inspires me. They ask me what inspires me. Conversations inspire me. They ask me what inspires me. Music inspires me. They ask me what inspires me. Art inspires me. Because at the end of the day, life mimics art. Art mimics life. We're in between. There is a balance sometimes. Life can be heavy, weigh you down to the ground to where you feel like you're hitting high five with the ants. Gravity is wondering when you're going to come back up for air. You don't have no air. You feel like you just can't breathe. Thank you, Nikki G, for your pen to paper, telling your stories, telling us truth. But most of all, thank you, Nikki, for being a dynamic poet.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. Wow, thank you, Butterfly. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. So are there any questions from the audience for our panelists? Christopher?
Beautiful panel, thank you. I wanted to go back to the beginning when Nikki was giving her dialogue, and what I've heard is a reoccurring theme. Papaya over here. A reoccurring theme around pain, loss, sadness, burden, challenges, and differently from each of you, but how that somehow shapes who you have become. And I'd just like for you to speak about that a little bit, because, you know, there are a lot of people who are in psychiatric wards because they have the same kind of pain, you know what I'm saying? And the jail is full of people like that, so. But you've taken your pain and your challenges and turned it into art, so that's beautiful. Thank you.
Even though I've always been into art, art has also been a lifeline for me. I won't go too deep into my past, but you know, growing up, at some significant portion of my life, I grew up in this religious cult. I went through a lot of pain, being taken from my family, being separated from the family that gave, you know, a lot of things. And so at the time, I remember sitting in the windowsill and I would write short stories and poems, and like some of the people who grew up with me, they said, I remember you always would draw an eye. Whatever blank paper, there was an eye, then there's a tear, and then the tear turns into an ocean. And even now, some of my work, you know, I had someone in my studio, my home studio several years ago, and I have a wall with a bunch of art. And not all of them are eyes, but she said, I feel like I'm being watched. Like there's eyes looking at me. Some people swear some of the art move. That's a whole nother topic. But the thing is, in points of my life where I had no voice, I had no autonomy, I had no control of my body or what was being done to it. And so art was always a thing, you know. There were times, because sometimes I would like paint my face, and I have a few meanings of why I would paint my face, and you know, sometimes people would ask, and I had a childhood friend that I grew up with, and her son, you know, I was on this film team. We won our biggest thing. We was in this competition, did a whole sweep. We're celebrating, and I got the call that her son took his life. And this is someone that I changed his diapers. And so it was so impactful for me, but it brought me back to a time where I didn't know at the time. I didn't have words about, oh, you're a cutter, right? So it brought me back to the first time I ever painted myself is because I would like scratch my face and X-Acto blade tracing my veins, and then when I would kind of come to, and I'm like, oh gosh, you know, let me cover it. And we used to wear these little bendy things in the paint, so I would get the markers in the paint, and I would cover all of the scars in paint or makeup or whatever have you. And so people are like, oh, that's just the weird artist, right? I didn't have the information at the time that I was even a cutter. And so a lot of things was internalized. And, you know, all of my art has always been about, like, you know, I used to do aliens and just different things, right? But at some point, those things wanted to come out. Like I remember the first piece that I did that was connected to my pain, because people, like, you know, some people, if they knew me, they're like, you seem so cool to, you know, like some of the things you share is kind of bizarre, but you just seem like whatever. And, you know, and I just, because I knew how to compartmentalize, I didn't know, but I just knew how to separate and keep going. And like, no matter what's going on, to keep going. I didn't even know, like, you know, just that survivor brain. And so I was doing a project it was like this, I was doing some little online class about hand written art words, typography, but handwritten. And I was, at the time, because I did graphic design, I was getting more into painting. And I was like, ooh, I'll take this thing. And so we had to, do these examples. And I'm trying to figure out, and at some point, without sounding too woo, it was kind of almost like I was in a trance, right? And I had this tracing paper and this brush, and I went through the whole tracing paper pad with all of these words. And when I looked at it, I was like, oh shit. And I showed it to this writer, and she was just like, you have to show people. Like, you have to go to women in distress. People have to see this, like, because it was talking about, I'm a survivor of sexual abuse and a few of those things. And so, like, unconsciously, I wrote out all these words. He should have left me with the crayons, washed in the blood of the lamb. I'm a liar. This was fun. I prayed about it. All of these things. I didn't sit there to do it. It was just like, I'm coming out whether you're ready or not. And so when I looked at those pieces, and that lady, she was just like, you should try to see if maybe women in distress might, be interested in doing something. Because when people are going there and you have therapists, psychologists, whatever have you, not to take anything away from them, but they're trying to relate to people by going to a textbook and saying, okay, we're going to do this. But if someone hears you and they see that work, they don't see you coming from a textbook. You are them. And they could connect to that. And so eventually at some point I did a sculpture to go with that. And then and I put it up and people were like, what is that? And then I started talking about it, right? And people were like, oh my gosh, they had no idea. And so I didn't initially wanted to share those things in my art or anything. I was fine with just doing what I do and going out on the weekends and all those things. And I wasn't even connected to, like, if I was home by myself, I just got so dark and I'm crying and I'm wondering if I should be here and all those things. I mean, now I love my company. I'm just like, oh, go where? I want to be on my couch looking at my ceiling, talking to myself. I could sit with myself now, but there was a time where as long as things are going, and even when I was little, my mom said, if you put me to sit down, I'm asleep. But as long as something's going on, I'm here, I'm there. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? Right? And I didn't even realize that, part of that was me, like, coping and trying to push back all those things. So at some point, it started coming out in my art, and then eventually that led me to go into counseling about some of the things that I went through. And when I shared it, people were like, oh my gosh, I have this video installation piece that I did, and when I first exhibited it, it was I had projected it on a twin-size mattress that I hung on the wall, and you had to listen to the piece. And so when people would see it, they either had to come find me and hug me, or they said, hey, this is what I went through. And so, like, and sometimes people said, oh, is it comfortable? It's like, no, it's not comfortable, but I feel like if I'm in a position that I can talk about some things, I feel a sense of responsibility because there's so many people who can't, right? I would get messages sometimes from people saying, oh my gosh, when you're speaking certain things, like, I just want you to know you're speaking for me because I can't speak yet. And so to me, I even though, like, even with my art career, right, I've been doing art shows and, for a number of years. And once I started sharing a little bit more of those things, like, I literally saw some significant jumps in the things that I was doing. And there's a Rumi quote, I'm not going to quote it because I'm paraphrasing, right? But it says, the wound, that's where the light comes out, right? And so with the healing and, just different healing modalities, therapy and all those things, and, like, taking that pain and creating, like, what's your elephant? I did an exhibition and this about mental health and the Baker Act, and this parent came to me and she said, I don't know why you're doing this, but I'm so grateful that you're giving a voice to these kids and what they went through. And I was just like, I could tell you a little bit of why, but we need a little, some time, some whiskey, you know. But it's just like when you go through something, it also unlocks a level of empathy that you don't want somebody else to go through that, right? And so you understand what it is to be, not seen, not heard, not have any autonomy of what's happening to you. And so, and when I go back, like sometimes I'm looking, I'm like, dang, I had like books of poems and I just want to feel and all those things, or, so part of that has been, art has been part of what kept me going, throughout the challenging times of my life. Sometimes if I'm feeling away, and even now, right, I told someone, I said, I'm like the art pusher, like I got some paintbrush, a friend of mine, they were posted something on Facebook, and they were I could just tell they were going through a bad time. And I messaged them and I said, hey, I saw your post, what are you doing later? Why don't you pop over and we'll put some music on and we'll get some, I got some clay. And seeing that, and so even with my workshops, I don't even call them sip and paints. I'm like, this is an art experience, a mindful moment. We're coming together, we're being present with each other, we're being vulnerable, we're having fun, this is an experience, but really pushing the healing aspect of art, right? And also understanding, because sometimes we have these differences and we don't know how to talk about it, but we could put it to art. So it's just been always a part of who I am and what I do, and it's just like, the art was just like, look, we're gonna deal with your stuff right now. We don't care if you're ready. Right now, it's happening. And so for me, and that's always been something like something inside of me, my ancestors, it's just like I'm always put in a position where I have no choice but to grow. So now my thing is just like, okay, let me just breathe, show up. There's a reason behind it, but, that's always just been connected in that way.
Thank you, Nikki. I appreciate that. And I thank all of our panelists for being vulnerable and sharing of themselves. We're going to conclude tonight. We're going to have each one of our panelists give their contact information, how you can get in contact with them. So if you want them to pick up, you want some poetry, you want a song, you want them to perform, they'll be able to give you their contact information. And I just want to thank each of you for your vulnerability and sharing with us tonight, because again, a lot of people, they don't know, because you're saying you have this smiling face all the time and you don't know what's behind that. And you're sharing of yourselves and giving us that opportunity to look behind the mask. And I do appreciate all of you being vulnerable and sharing that with us tonight. So if you could share your contact information, and if you sign in the back, I will also send it out to everyone, so you'll have their contact information as well. So make sure that you sign in on the sign-in sheet, and we'll be able to send that information in addition to them sharing it tonight. So we'll start with Velvet and.
My name is Velvet Lenore. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. But most of all, you can always find me at the old place that used to be called Lips. It's now called Aquaplex. I host bingo there on Wednesdays, and I do a Saturday brunch where I have male entertainers and girl entertainers, and we do big productions. One of my sons has just walked in. I didn't realize he walked in. He's one of my choreographers, Jay Wolf Lenore. So just come check me out. It's a good dinner. It's a good time, good entertainment. So stop by Aquaplex. If you let them know that I sent you there, just let them know, and you'll get a buy one, get one free dinner. So.
Hey, my name's Kiowa, and I don't know, I play here, there, and everywhere. So if you need any drumming or piano music or guitar music, or where you guys at? There you are. Yeah, give me a call. My number's 954-648-5666. You can also find me on Instagram at Kiowa. It's like Iowa with a K, Kiowa 007. So, and feel free to just hit me up after this, and I'd be happy to share my information.
My name is Nikki Lopez with 1K, and I'm on social media. You could on Instagram, Nikki Lopez 19. What's Your Elephant, and Nikki Lopez Creative, which is my design company. I'm on Facebook as well. I have Facebook pages also related to my art and design, and What's Your Elephant, TikTok, So I'm either on there as Nikki Lopez 19, What's Your Elephant? If you use that hashtag, it will take you there. My website is nikkilopez.art or what'syourelephant.org. And I'm an artist and curator. I produce events. I have a big art show coming up in July that I do every year since 2008 at the 1310 Gallery. And I put a lot of things on social media, which is like a platform for me to share with the community. I do have some work there, and there's some masks. So in my artwork, there's masks, but I also do art making workshops, and I'm actually hosting my first of the year mindful mask making experience next Thursday at the 1310 Gallery. And the tickets are $40 or $70 for two, and there's a QR code if you want to scan that. But yeah, social media, and if you talk to me afterwards, I have like a little graphic that I could send you that has my contact information.
Name's Rebecca Butterfly Vons. I'm on Facebook as R Butterfly Vons, and then I'm on Instagram as Soulful Poet 72. You can find my poetry on all digital download platforms to include iTunes, Spotify, CD Baby. You just put in Rebecca Butterfly Vons, and of course the genre is spoken word. I pretty much can be seen almost anywhere. Like I say, my slogan for myself is I go wherever words are desired. I'm available for anything from funerals to big gala events, community events. I'm actually going to be hosting, because outside of performing poetry, I also host. So I'm honored to be called back a second year for the One Tamarack Festival, which is taking place February 7th in Tamarack, of course. And the event is from like 4 to 8. And pretty much that's about it. My apologies early that I can't mix and mingle afterwards because I have to get to Margate by 9:15. We're actually relaunching an open mic night that I was the original host from 2016 to 2019, and then Red Words was the host for the remaining years. This year, May will actually make 9 years that we've been in existence. It's called Love Jones, the Open Mic Experience. It's pretty much open to all art forms: dancers, singers, poets, musicians, comedians, acrobatics, whatever your talent is, you're welcome to the stage. So thank you for your time and coming out, because you didn't have to come. You could have stayed home. I'm pretty sure some of you, there's a TV show on Thursday night that you like to watch, but that's what DVR is for, or rewind. So again, thank you for your time, your attention, and understanding us as artists a little bit more and a little bit better.
And I do have some cards in my purse. So if you're really interested in coming to Aquaplex to see me, I have cards I can give you afterwards.
So I just want to thank all of you for coming out tonight to share with us, and my illustrious panel. Thank you so much for participating and sharing of yourselves and being vulnerable. And I just want to thank all of you for coming out as well. We'll see you at our next event, which will be on February the 1st at the Pride Center, which is our Black Art Awakening. And it is an exhibit of Black art for National Black HIV/AIDS Awareness Day and Black History Month, but it's for Black LGBTQIA artists to showcase their work. So.
Oh, and my apologies. The One Tamarack Festival, Multicultural Festival, is actually February 8th. It's February 8th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Thank you so much for coming out. That is our evening.